All right, so we are talking tonight about her money mindset. Basically, I want you all to understand um, that as women, especially, okay, I got feedback on my video was on, fantastic. Right, so as women especially, we need to be able to manage money, right? And I'm sure there are many of you here, you are the person managing the finances for your home, for your family, and you had to stretch that dollar, right? Because guess what? The dollar not going to stretch itself, and you have competing interests for your money. And that's why we're here tonight. We want to discover the basics of money management. Um, okay, come on, screen. Don't fail me now. Awesome. Right. So a quick overview about what we will be sharing about. And we're going to be talking about what is a budget. I want to hear from you all. Tell me. We're going to be analyzing some expenses. I want to hear from you. What are your current spending habits? And then we're going to be moving on to discuss major life purchases. Who needs a house? Who needs a car? And then we're going to share understanding debt. How does debt affect you? And how can you use debt to your advantage? And the final section is we're going to discuss some free tools, some simple things that you can use to help make this financial journey a simple one, right? And at the very end, actually have a very fun, cool exercise. So please do stay tuned. It's going to be fun. It's going to be eye-opening. And yeah, I think we're going to just go ahead and get started. And at all times, you can drop your thoughts in the chat. We will be having a Q&A session at the very end, but by all means, do engage as we go along. Right? Okay. Right. So I have a poll that I'd like Celeste to just put up for us. And I really just want to find out as we get started, what is your source of income? How do you earn money? Okay, I see many of us have we have a fixed income, we have a source of employment, we have a job, we have a only God knows. I think everybody has been there at some point in time. We have a self-employed. Okay, fantastic. Right, so I think that was most of you. Just given 1 or 2 more seconds to get a couple more people, a couple more responses, so I know exactly what people are dealing with and what we need to cover tonight. Yeah, so, all right, so I'll go ahead and say the majority of persons here are employed. You have an employer, you go to work early in the morning, you come home late in the night, and all right. So, okay, we'll go ahead with that. All right, so let me just show the results. This is what it looks like, guys. 78% of us on this call are employed. Right, so, and the reason I asked that is, seconds. The reason I asked is obviously we need money to live, right? Can I get an amen? We need money to live. We need money to survive. We need money to purchase things. So obviously it's very important where our source of finance comes from, right? I actually had a quote here from Dave Ramsey. How many of you know who Dave Ramsey is? No, he's a finance guru. He's really popular, written a lot of books, a lot of seminars. And he said, you must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. Now, who here wants to be controlled by the lack of money? Right now, I could speak for me, certainly not me. I do not want to be constrained in certain areas of my life because I don't have the money. Right. So the whole reason we gathered here today is we want to gain control over our financial situation. Yeah. Can I get a yes in the chat if that is why you are here? Yes, a strategy that shows the flow and management of your money. Yes, extremely important. Right, so my keyboard seems to be sticking just a tad. Okay, there we go. So somebody tell me, what is a budget? In your own words. You could go ahead and type. If you wanna use the hand raise feature and speak, I think Celeste might be able to just unmute you. So you can share verbally if you prefer. but I want to hear from you all. What is a budget in your own words? Yes, how you plan and manage your money, definitely. Right? Anybody else have any thoughts? Because I mean, I'm sure we've all been hearing about the word budget as soon as we were able to understand it, right? Yes, managing your expenses and savings, how you plan to spend and manage your money, definitely. Awesome, very good, guys. So yeah, all of that, all of that and more. A plan to manage your money. I love that, Salisha. Now, for some reason, my down arrow does not want to does not want to cooperate with me today. Okay, so what is a budget? And do you need one? Do I need one? A budget is a financial plan, as most of you said, which estimates one's income and expenses over a specific period of time, right? So you might have a monthly budget. You could also have an annual budget if you are extremely diligent. Rhonda girl, join the club. I don't think there's a single person here, or basically a single person alive who has to manage money who does not need a budget, right? Unless, of course, you are overflowing in wealth, and then exactly. And that's the problem. That's why proper money mindset is important because them salaries don't salary that money, not money in. So budgeting is, as you said, the process of planning and tracking both income and expenses, right? And to ensure that you use your money wisely. Can you drop that word in the chat? Wisely, because guess what? We could all use our money. Sometimes we use it not so wisely. Sometimes we spend first and think after, right? I'm sure I'm speaking to somebody here tonight, somebody besides myself, right? So I want to ask, how many of you currently maintain a personal budget? Right? Just vote is it a yes or a no, or a maybe. I keep one inside my head, just a vague numerical thought. Let me know. Drop your vote in chat. Do you maintain a personal monthly budget? Let me see the diligent people here. Right? And if you're not so diligent, you're in the right place because this is where we're gonna build up that financial acumen, that know-how, right, to get to the place we need to be. All right, all right. So I'm impressed. Quite a few people do keep a budget, and keeping a budget is a difficult thing because none of us. There are times in the month when you do not want to look at your at your balance. There are times when you just want to spend first and budget after, right? But that's not how it works. That is the opposite way. So okay, all right. I like it. So we up at 50% with yes. And we have some kind ofs, right? And as the people who in between, you kind of have a little idea of your budget mentally, okay, I'm supposed to spend this much. I'm not supposed to spend this. I'm supposed to save. So we want to just kind of put those things on paper. We want to clarify those things tonight. So very nice. Okay. Who's in this pool? Awesome. Right. So, gosh, man. I don't know what's going on with this arrow, man. Okay. So why is budgeting important? Right? As someone just shared, because his salary don't salary. But the thing is sometimes, let me know in the chat, why is budgeting important? Why do you think? Sometimes we like to do like this ostrich and we see this real nice dress. We go on Shein and we're like, whoa, that looking real nice. That look real nice on me. I go in and buy it. No, I don't want to know how much money I have. I have a credit card. I'm not looking at my bank account. I don't want to know I don't care about the TNT bill. I don't care about the light bill, the water bill. I don't care about the grocery bill. I want that dress. Hey, see them shoes, they on sale, 80% off. You gotta be kidding me. Right? And we can have these monologues in our mind. And we end up burying our head in the sand just like this ostrich. So let me hear from y'all. Why is budgeting important? Haha, not to go broke. I like that bit. That's really, yeah, it can't get simpler than that. Not to go broke. Worry about it after and murder. To make adjustments when needed and to manage your money properly. Yes, textbook answer, Rhonda. So the third week of the month, I don't have to eat cricks and water until the end of the month, girl. And cricks not even cheap anymore. Right? Back in the day, you say cricks and tuna. No, no, no. Cricks and corned beef. No, no, no. Those things are not cheap anymore. You had to eat cricks and imagine something else. Imagine a side dish. To ensure that you don't spend more than you earn. Exactly. And to have funds for emergency purpose, most definitely. Tuna is $15. Gosh, I saw tuna for $10 in the supermarket. I think it was Happy. Yeah, tuna is pricey. And I mean, how many eats you even getting after that little tin, right? So all of that to say, this is why budgeting is important because we want to maintain financial independence. I don't know about y'all. I don't know how many people here are married, but you don't want to go to your husband and say, my money done. I could get some of yours, right? Budgeting empowers you to take control of your money, not their money, and to make informed decisions, right? We need to budget because we need to save. Budgeting encourages young people, and that's why budgeting from youth is a good idea because it helps to build good financial habits, right? So from youth, people can set aside money for short-term things, and then you have long-term goals like gate not covering your university education, what you're going to do, you want to buy a car, right? And this is why budgeting is important. So we could have financial independence. So we can have savings for a rainy day. So when some major expenditure happen or you have a health concern, you're not forced to suffer, right? In the hallways of Port of Spain General Hospital and wait for a bed for 2+ days, right? Because that's the reality, let's be real. So you also want to be able to avoid debt. When you manage your spending and your saving, you can avoid unnecessary debt and develop healthy financial habits, right? And of course, these things are better started young. Some of us, we're not that young anymore, but it is not too late. Okay, it's not too late to develop healthy financial habits. It might be a little harder, but once there's a will, once you're willing to follow through, once you have a desire to learn and to improve and to grow in that area, it is possible, right? So, and of course, we need to develop real life skills because you learn how to make trade-offs between your wants and your needs. How many of you, your wants reaching up to the ceiling and your needs, they're not that bad, but your wants just climbing and there's no limit to the things we want. You know, we want nice stuff, we want nice clothes, we want fancy things, but we can't afford the salary ain't gonna cut it. It's not gonna give us all of our wants and all of our needs. So we have to make choices. We have to make sacrifices, right? So it's important for us to set priorities and to plan for the future, right? Because unless Jesus come back tomorrow, we need to be able to finance our way through the rest of life. Yeah. Right. So I have a scenario here. I want to hear what y'all think about this couple, right? Because we're talking about budgeting. We're looking at how this guy dealt with the situation. So, some young boy somewhere said he spent $40,000 on Beyonce tickets for him and his girlfriend. And he showed someone the tickets, right, for proof. Because who would believe that? The boy works minimum wage. He lives with his mother. He does not have a car. The only reason he even had that money is because grandpa died and leave him a nice little inheritance. The boy is 24, young girl is 21, right? And they're young and they're dating. They are young and dating, right? I can't see the bottom of my screen. Apparently, the only thing she wanted to do was go and see Beyonce. She telling me, you don't have to get me nothing else. I just want these tickets. I'll even be happy if I have to go alone. But he got tickets for both of them so they could share the experience together, Right now, tell me, what do you think about this couple, specifically this young boy? Right? Because obviously you are dating this person. You'll want to have this be on the same page where finances are concerned. I don't know how many of you are married, how many of you are single, but this is a massive expense. This guy made $40,000, right? I could pay down on a car. I could pay half of a car. That could be half of a down payment on a house. That's a lot of money. So what do y'all think? Was that a good financial decision? Right? Definitely crazy. Immaturity, certainly. Certainly. Financial immaturity. That's not his wife. The best idea is not the best idea. Exactly. Yes. Right. And I agree with all of you. It definitely was a poor choice, a poor use of his finances. And the old people like to say, what is it? There's a saying about if you don't work for your money, you don't appreciate it. There's some saying that I remember my parents saying. I can't remember what it is. Right. But I'm sure you all knew it. The boy made poor choices. Oh, it's a fool and his money is soon parted. But that's it. I didn't say it. I'm just repeating it. Right? So yeah, so he made a really, really poor. Yes, it comes fast and it goes easy. And a lot of people, sometimes we see people win the lottery or win millions. Like I've seen it in a lot of the US countries because they have huge taxes. So they're winning, they get taxed mad money. They're basically left with very little. And then because you're not accustomed and you haven't developed good money management habits, money goes, and it happens in Trinidad too, I'm sure. People get money, you get a lump sum, you don't know how to manage it. And you end up right back where you started. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want that to be me. I don't want to come into a lump sum and lose it the next day, right? So, okay, finance people. So now I want us to look at ourselves. We look at a young boy, we realize he is immature, he needs some sense, he needs some advice, he needs some management. But how many of these? Now this is entitled 20-year-old money mistakes. I'm sure most of us are over that age, but how many of us have made those mistakes? And how many of us are still making some of these mistakes, right? And the reason it's called a mistake is because it's a unimportant use of money for that stage of life, right? So partying, dead end, right? Expensive dates because you want to impress somebody, boom, money done. When you do your hair, you do your makeup, you buy a weave, you get nice clothes, you get nice shoes, psh, new car. And obviously, at the mature stage of your life, you need a vehicle. But when you are particularly young, it's a very large expense with additional repair, additional maintenance, fully comprehensive insurance. It is a mistake at that age in your life. Poor credit, because you get a credit card and that means you could swipe and spend money you don't have, right? 100 sneakers, you only have 2 feet, right? Look down, look at your feet. You only have 2 feet. Why do you need 100 pair of sneakers? Right? Why do we need that many? Eating out. Now, of course, we all eat out at some point in time, but eating out daily, every single meal is being bought. That is a huge, huge misuse of money. And let's see, what's this one? Not saving. Exactly. It definitely adds up. 1 second. Let me just come back to that slide. Yeah, it's a huge abuse of money. A loan, taking a loan, not having savings, and not budgeting, right? Those are the mistakes. So tell me now, how many of those have you made out of, I guess we'll go out of 8, out of 9, right? Out of those 9, yeah, those 9 scenarios pinpointed there, how many of those mistakes have you made? Because we're doing some introspection. We want to see where we at so we can improve. Right, out of the 9, right? I see a 4. Okay. Let me see. 5 to 6. Oh yeah. Right, 4. All right, we have some prudent people in here. Very nice, very nice. 8, right? And I'm sure there are some people who would have 9. And nothing is wrong with that because we've made mistakes. At the end of the day, have we learned from our mistakes? Or are we now in our late 20s, early 30s, and still making the same mistakes? Then that's a problem, right? So some of the biggest money wasters here, right? These are 8. I want to hear how much of these do you currently spend money on? So we go in. Jewelry, designer brands, addictions. And addictions is not just drugs. Addictions could be addicted to sweets. You could be addicted to always buying expensive stuff that are unnecessary. Being addicted to soft drink, right? Gambling, fast food, expensive cars, smoking, alcohol, right? How many of these 8 things do you regularly spend on? Sorry, yes, 8. Self-care products. Oh gosh, I would not call that a money waster unless you're going through it like in no time, you know? Yeah, okay, so we have some tools, we have a fair level of financial maturity. Oh boy. You know, you said the volume that you purchased, and I just saw in my mind this giant tub of hair product. I hope you're not buying tubs of hair product. Oh gosh. Okay, so yes. So we all have these things that we might waste money on occasionally, right? But of course, we want to minimize the ones that are big money wasters. Right? So tell me, have you all ever heard of the 50-30-20 rule? Right? We're just wrapping up this whole finance introduction, and then we're going to go into debt. We're going to talk about loans. We're going to talk about credit cards for those who are now joining us. I think you should be able to watch the replay if you missed the beginning, but I want you here because we have some cool stuff to discuss. Okay, so 50-30-20, right? It is a generally accepted guideline for managing money. 50% it is recommended should be spent on your needs. Now, of course, this is not a hard and fast rule. Everyone's situation is different, or incomes are different, or family sizes are different. We can't always afford to spend a certain amount on different things, right? So we start at 50%, at least half of your money should cover your needs. And then you can be left with 30% to spend on your wants. You could go and shop. And then, of course, 20% as savings. Now, I don't know how many of you are saving 20% of your income. Do you actually make an effort? Because a lot of people here on salary, when you get that paycheck, do you immediately grab some of it and put it to savings? You know, or do you just spend as things come up? Right? Economy in a state. Yes. Yeah. You really need to manage money, especially the way prices are rising, and it is, I could definitely understand. I think what Rhonda is saying is indicative of what we all think. The money don't stretch enough to save. And I mean, I have tried because I'm not as young as I used to be, but in my early 20s, I remember trying different things. Sometimes I would save immediately. Sometimes I'd say, I'll save at the end of the month. You want to know what? When I decided to save what was left at the end of the month, there was nothing left. There was never anything left. I don't know where it went. I don't know where it went, guys. It just disappeared. Exactly. Sometimes things pop up, or those ones that 30% start to creep up, and the ones go for 40%, 50%. And we spend all of our money before we know it. And that's why saving is important. We may not be able to hit this extravagant 20%, depending on our budget, depending on what we need to do with our money. But at least, guys, I would say minimum 10% we should put aside at the beginning of the month. And then if you have a huge emergency, a huge need, then you can always go, you can borrow, you can take from it. But putting it aside at the very beginning of the month is the easiest way to ensure that you do have some savings building up. And every little counts. You might say, man, what is $200 going to do? You will be surprised over the period of years how much 200 can do. Right? So yes. Okay. All right. Everybody probably would have heard about SMART goals before. It's taught in schools. It's everywhere. It's in management. So I'm just gonna go through it really quickly because I want to move on to that. But yeah, so you might say, and this is for the kind of budget people, I think this is what we might be doing. We might say, I would like to have more money. Who doesn't? Right? But what's important is that we be specific. How much more money do you need to meet your lifestyle? How much more money do you need to afford the things that you want? Right? So if you don't have a number, then you're not going to have anything to work towards. So we have to be specific, measurable, right? Don't just say, I want to spend less this month. How much less? We need to have a number. We need to know. This month, I am not buying a Starbucks every single day on my way to work. I am not buying doubles for breakfast. And I'm going to save that money and put it towards an emergency fund, right? Measurable. We know exactly how much we spend on those items. Hey, Starbucks going up, guys. So you better watch that. Go and make it tea home. Make it tea home. I know that's easy for me to say because I don't drink Starbucks. I don't really care for those things. So for those of you who might love your Starbucks and it's a treat, it'll be much harder. But guys, I'm telling you all that money's add up, right? Okay, so we're moving on. Attainable. Now you might say, I want to save $1,000 a month, but your salary is only twice that. Is it possible? Probably not, right? Now, how many of you grew up with Pinky and the Brain? I don't like to betray my age, but I did. And every night they're trying to take over the world. And guess what? It never worked. So we need to be practical and we need to have a goal that's doable, right? Yes, it should be challenging, but it should be something that you can actually accomplish. Because sometimes we do this with exercise as well. I am going to lose 20 pounds. Boom, I get up today, I run a few miles. Next day, you're tired, your foot hurting, right? And that's the end of that. That is the end. So I don't want that to happen to you in the area of your finances. You say, this month I'm saving all my money. Boom, something happened, you give up on budgeting. You put your head on your pillow and you say, I'm done with that. No, 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 right? So we want it to be realistic. Be honest with yourself. Be honest. You know you're not cooking and you know that you buy lunch every single day, right? Know what you're capable of. Can you make sandwiches? Can you prep something and cook maybe every 3 days? And then you have food that will last you for a couple of days without any additional expenditure, right? And then the last one, time bounded. Give yourself a deadline. Guys, I can't tell you how many people I have seen with the best of intentions are going to do this month, but without actually setting milestones and definite timelines. Every month is next month, right? So don't just keep pushing towards your goal and say, okay, I want to become a millionaire. Then you need to start making money now. You need to start investing that money and you need to work your way up, right? Otherwise, next 50, 60 years, then you're still going to be saying, one day I'd like to be a millionaire, right? But goals don't work that way. Any goal that's not smart, it's just a dream. It's just a hope, right? And we want to get out of that habit of just hoping and dreaming. And we want to be specific. We want to be measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bounded in our financial goals. Y'all with me, guys? Right, so I want to challenge you all to set some financial goals for quarter 2, right? First quarter done. 2024 is, wow, it's actually a quarter over. We have 75% of the year left. What are you going to do? Right? So we can set some financial goals. If you're writing, if you're taking notes, I advise you to make a list. Make a list, maybe set it up, head it up, and you can complete it after the call. But maybe you need to increase your income. Not maybe. We all need to increase our income, right? Maybe you want to earn an extra 500 a month from a part-time job. Maybe you're good at baking. Maybe you're great at doing hair. What can you do on a part-time basis? Because you have a full-time job, you have a family, you have commitments, you have so many things on your plate. What can you do to earn money? And how much money would you like to earn from something part-time, right? Maybe you want to save startup capital for a business venture. Maybe you want to open a small business. Maybe you want to earn some money in passive income, right? So what are your goals? Be specific. Get your numbers, write it down. Set a date, set a time. And of course, we have expenses, those unwelcome expenses that always intrude on our happiness, right? Maybe, just maybe, you could buy Christmas gifts early, right? I know quite a few people who do that as extreme diligence. I applaud them. But yeah, buy it now. So Christmas, when everybody prices hike up, you are already covered. You have your gifts under the bed, in the wardrobe, hide. Nobody needs to know, right? And you save money, you save hassle, you save the stress. And of course, you can invest in a training course or perhaps a business coach, hint, hint, for a certain amount of money, right? And you can also decide to cut down on those certain expenses that are money wasters, consuming your money that you can actually save and put towards something of value, right? So that's my homework for you all. Set financial goals for April, May, June, those 3 months. So you have enough time because we're still in March. I actually thought it was Women's Day today. Apparently, it is not the 8th, it is the 7th. For anybody else who may be confused. So you have 20 something days again, right? In which to set up and organize these financial goals to start from April, fast and running. Right? Okay, so now we are moving on to navigating major life purchases. Now, is there anyone here who already owns their own home? Maybe you own a car. If you do, let me know in the comments. Is it something that you're hoping to do soon? Maybe it's something that you ain't see how that happening, but you're hopeful. You know that one day in the future you will own a vehicle, you will own something, right? You'll have your own house where you can do what you want and nobody's telling you turn down your radio, right? Awesome. We have homeowners in the building. Very nice, very nice. And I'm glad that we do because I want to hear from the homeowners to tell us, give us some lessons when you were buying your home, if you were buying your car, things that you learned that you wish you knew before, right? Need to own a home. Awesome. So for those who have purchased, let us know what is one thing that you wish you knew before you went and you buy that car, before you went and you buy that house. What is something nobody ever told you that could have made it a lot easier, or something you found out that puts a delay on your purchasing? Yeah, because I know it have many, many things that we find out in the moment. And we're like, I wish I knew that. Why didn't I know this? Right? And that's why financial literacy, sadly, is not really taught in our schools, definitely nowhere near the level it should be. And there are so many things in life that we experience, and now we just never learned it. Now it just hits us by surprise, like a shock, right? Maintaining the car. Oh my goodness, that is a huge one. And I was recently speaking to somebody. I'm like, purchasing a car is great, it's convenient, it's wonderful, but you need to be prepared for the expenses that will come up because the car not going to tell you next month I'm going to need a tire, so save money. No, the car is not going to tell you I am going to shut down on the Beetham Highway and you will need to get a tow truck to pull me out. No, right? All of those things are surprises, unwelcome, most unwelcome, right? Someone's last car drained their savings, right? You wish it had CNG. Oh my goodness, yes. You CNG people out here spending crumbs to fill up their gas tank, and the rest of us going and just blinking in astonishment when we get to the gas station. Like, how much money I need to fill up this car? So, yes, I love this one. This is a winner, right? Shireen says a lot of fees to own a home after the down payment. You have lawyer fees, bank fees, insurance, bills, now property tax. Oh yes, that's definitely one of my points. Because again, we don't know about these things. They didn't teach us this in school, right? You find this out when you find it out in the moment. Home maintenance. Oh yeah, most definitely. Because for those of us who started out renting, who didn't go from mommy and daddy's house to their own home, when you're renting, you pay rent and the landlord handle everything, right? We have some renters in here. The landlord handle everything. I didn't have to study where water coming from, something wrong with the toilet. Hello, can you come fix my toilet? Could you send somebody? Right? I didn't have to worry about those things. But guess what? Who coming and fix my toilet now? I need to find somebody to do that, right? I need something leaking. I need to fix that. I have to get my own plumber. So the major expenditures that come with a major purchase, are things that we need to have money put aside so it will take us by surprise and catch us off guard to the point where we don't even know what to do. Right? Learn to fix the toilet yourself. Yes, Leslie, talking there, man. My landlord does everything. You are very lucky. And that's what a good landlord is supposed to do. But when you are your own landlord, things are a little different. Things just slightly different. Okay, so what steps would you take before making a major purchase? Because we have some homeowners, we have some renters, we have some people who purchase vehicles who are looking to purchase. What step would you take now, knowing what you know now, before you make a major purchase? Right? Some of us would say, okay, I need to go and research. Because sometimes you see an item and you love it. You just fall in love at first sight. I remember when I saw my car, I went and I saw a few others after, and this car was in my memory. Like, I'm seeing the car in my mind. And I'm like, I know it's a little more money, but I like it so much. It's such a nice color. And I went and I buy it, right? I have no regrets. It's been a very faithful car. I have no wood to knock on here, but definitely, I'm glad with that purchase. Even though it cost me a little more, it was definitely worthwhile. So let me see what you're saying. What steps would you take before you make a major purchase? Research, definitely. Educate yourself. Oh, yeah. Be realistic about your finances. That's very true, Aranda, because I can say, okay, this car is 100,000. I have exactly 100,000 with my loan. And then what about insurance? What about the gas that this car could possibly guzzle every single week? Didn't think about it, didn't plan for it, and then it hits you like a bus. Shock, a shock attack, right? So yeah, being realistic and always plan and always planning extra is very, very, very important. Right, so some preliminary steps towards home ownership. I want to mash X because I want to get to the end. It's important to get pre-qualified, right? Once you are permanent in your position, you go into TTMF. They're probably the best people for first-time homeowners right now, because their terms are the most favorable. You can get 100% financing, right? Contact an agent. There's no cost to you, the buyer, or you, the looker, as it may be. When you reach out to a real estate agent, all fees are paid by the seller. So you good. You can go and look at houses. But of course, you want to make sure you do have the finances, because some agents will actually insist that you be pre-qualified because they just want everybody coming and looking at houses for fun, right? But you want to know where you're looking. You want to know what type of home you want, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, gated community. What are you looking for? Contact a real estate agent. They will keep an eye out for you, and that's a preliminary step, right? And of course, once you've seen the house of your choice and you've fallen in love with it, you make an offer, which your agent, of course, will guide you with. You get in touch with a good lawyer, and once the offer is accepted, you are required to put funds for deposit in an escrow account, right? And when I purchased my home, I think 10% was required. But I catered for just about 10%. And then there were extra costs involved that I did not even know of. So I'm telling you now, we need to be knowledgeable about all of the additional expenses so we could be prepared financially. And I've heard many people say the same thing, that they came prepared with exactly what the deposit was. And then boom, what about the fees? A lot of banks will actually incorporate it into your mortgage, which we will get to shortly. But when you are buying a home, which is a major life purchase, Scotiabank actually tells you you could send them an email to discuss your financial situation and get a credit check. Of course, I highly recommend going to TTMF. They will organize you. They will get you pre-qualified. They'll ask for your payslip. They'll ask you a couple of questions, and they'll say, this is the amount that we will fund you, whether it's a million, 1.5. So obviously you need to look within your means. You're not going to look at some $5 million mansion when you only pre-qualified for 1 million, right? That's not making sense. So yeah, so this is a mortgage calculator just for illustrative purposes. You can find this online. If you want to buy, you want to borrow, search mortgage loan calculator. And if you are paying every single month, you would actually spend, right? Okay, so this is something called, it's bi-monthly, right? So you can actually pay your mortgage twice a month instead of at the end of the month. And I looked into this. I did an exercise for a previous session. I don't have the full exercise here. But this person made an extra payment of $4,000 once per month, and they ended up saving $77,000. Yes, Randa, that is exactly a salary. And this is probably for a home of just over $1 million or so. Yeah. So it's ridiculous, but making those payments twice a month instead of at the end of the month actually reduces the interest charges, and you actually save a ton because the bank makes a killing, right? Your total interest would be dropping from 666,000 to 590,000 if you are paying twice a month instead of once. And also if you make additional repayments in addition to that fixed amount. If your money come up, you get back pay, you're a government worker, you are blessed, you take that back pay and you make a down payment, you pay down on that mortgage. Yes, you're sure right. Interest is a killer out here. Right? So that's the home, and of course there's a vehicle, which is less, less major. But of course, everybody wants a vehicle in their life. You need to at least be 18 and employed, or if you are self-employed, they may ask for financial statements. You need a form of ID, proof of address. You may get up to 100% financing, but be warned, the interest is also going to eat your money, and that means that the term of your loan could also be very long, maybe up to 7 years. As for me, I don't want to be using a vehicle, paying off a vehicle that outlive its usefulness before that time, right? So obviously you want to pay off your loan in a shorter period. And something you may not know when you are buying a new vehicle, especially if you are a young person, fully comprehensive is mandatory, and that's the expensive one, right? We have older people out here with third-party insurance. If you make an accident, your vehicle is not fixed, but you fix somebody else's vehicle. You have to see about yourself. So fully comprehensive covers both you and the party who you may have hit, right? So it's a benefit, but it's quite expensive. And you may have long repayment terms, right? So these are just a couple of things that you need to know before you purchase a vehicle, before you purchase a home. Of course, there's a lot more, but you can do your research, check it out online, go talk to your banker, talk to a loan officer, get some more information, be informed before you make these major purchases, right? So now we're just going into debt. How does debt affect you, right? Because everybody has some level of debt. We might have taken a loan. You may have a credit card, right? Maybe you have a love-hate relationship with your credit card. How does debt affect you? Right? Debt makes you poor. Oh yeah, debt definitely has the capability to make us poor. Right? Now, some of you may have heard the term debt service ratio. Now, this is something that the bank computes to make sure that you can pay off your debts. So before you get that mortgage, before you go to buy that vehicle, they're going to check your credit, right? And while credit isn't such a big thing locally as it is in the US, right? The bank actually wants to make sure that you are not serviced beyond 40%, right? So your monthly debt, whatever you're paying off, as a percentage of your gross income should never cross 40%. Because they say this person, more than likely, they're going to end up not being able to pay the loan. This is a bad person to lend money, right? So, of course, you can improve your debt service ratio by paying off your debt and having a larger percentage of your income available. I want to show an example because this might just sound like jargon, right? So, imagine this is you. You have a mortgage, 4,250. You have a car loan, 2,500, and your credit card minimum payment, because you're spending, is 250. Right? So every month you are in debt to the bank. You're paying Scotia, you're paying Republic, you're paying FCB $7,000. Right? So if your monthly debt is 7,000 and you are fortunate enough to be earning 14,000, your debt service ratio would be 50%. Right? Because your debt is half of your salary. And in a case like that, the bank will look at you, and it don't matter that you're earning a decent salary. They will say this person has too much debt and it's higher than the acceptable threshold, and we will not lend to you. right? So obviously you want to keep your debt manageable. You want to keep those credit cards from credit carding, and you want to make sure that you can afford. So when your major purchases come up, the bank will say, sorry, we're not lending to you. We're putting you on a blacklist, right? Nothing for you. Right? People need to understand a credit card is a revolving loan. Yes, 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 yes. Credit card management, right? We're going to talk about that immediately. So credit card basics. A credit card is like borrowing money to buy something now and promising to pay back later. Now, how many of you, how many of you swipe that credit card happy, you go penny wise, right? You go JK signature styles, you swipe the credit card smiling. And when time comes, credit card statement, boom, how much money I owe? How I pay that money? I don't have that money, right? And we end up in a cycle, a vicious cycle of debt, because the interest, which is what the bank charges you to borrow this money to get them nice shiny shoes on sale, right? That it comes back to bite you. So many of us look at the minimum payments, and you see that little figure on your credit card. It says the minimum payment you have to pay is $70. You're like, oh, I can do that. But the interest still accrues. You still have to pay interest unless you are able to pay off the balance on that credit card, right? And if you do not even pay the minimum payment, they will also hit you with interest. They say, late fee, boom, charges, right? And you end up being even more in debt than you were at the beginning. And I mean, yeah, I can understand your skepticism with getting a credit card. But credit cards can be quite useful if you use it properly. So for those who may not have that money management skill, you don't trust yourself because you know you have that card in the back of your mind when you're looking at the sale, then yeah, cut up that credit card, throw it away, right? But if you are able to manage it, then it could be beneficial, right? If you use your credit card like a debit card, you swipe, you get your points, boom, a reward cards, travel money, right? You pay it off as soon as it's due, then guess what? It doesn't hurt, right? It's actually something that could be beneficial, but you must have that discipline. Otherwise, you will end up in a worse state than you will. Yeah, what are y'all saying? Points, right. And you can boost your credit rating exactly once managed properly. Yeah, I think we all know Leslie. And of course, credit card statements. You need to review your credit card statements because I'm sure I'm not the only person who has had fraudulent charges. Something pop up on my card that I didn't know anything about. And these are things that you need to call your bank and query because you don't have your own expenses to pay. The last thing you want is to be paying other people's fraudulent expenses on your card, right? So managing those statements, because I know when the statement comes, it comes, you get an email, your statement is ready. You don't want to look at it because you don't want to know. Like that little ostrich you were looking at with his head in the sand, right? But we need to know. We need to know. We need to manage our spending. So when the statement comes, it's not a surprise, a bad surprise, but instead it's a pleasant surprise. Like, yes, this is what I expected. This is what my financial analysis tells me. This is how much I know I have to pay off at the end of the month, right? And as someone was saying, it helps you to build credit once you use it responsibly. And credit history is important when you go to buy a house, when you go to buy a car, right? And late payments will charge you more fees, impact your credit score negatively. Make sure you make a payment on time, set a reminder if you have to. And of course, avoid debt. Do not spend more than you can pay off each month. Repeat that with me. Do not spend more than you can pay off each month, right? So that's just a little life lesson here. I think life has taught many of us this already. So it may not be the first time you're hearing that. So we're just gonna go into bank loans quickly, and then we're gonna move on to our Q&A and our exercise, right? So I'm sure many of us here have taken bank loans as well. And the basics of a bank loan is money borrowed from a lender that you have to repay over time. So it's basically a temporary boost in your finances because you have the money now. But of course, you have to pay it back over a period. Interest is basically the extra money that you pay on top of that borrowed amount. All of us did principal by rate by time, over 100, right? And it's like a fee for using somebody else's money because it's the bank money you're using and they don't give you nothing for free. So it also includes interest and fees. And of course, there are different types of loans. There's personal, there's auto. You might take a savings loan. Every type has their own purpose, their own terms. Sometimes we end up with student debt. Right? So there are different types of loans, and we have to understand how they work. And different loans have different interest charges, right? A bank will lend you at a certain percentage per vehicle, whereas a home mortgage would be cheaper, right? So let's see. Of course, the loan term, the longer you have to pay the bank, yes, it may be more affordable, but in the long term, you end up paying a lot more interest. And some loans, as some of you may know, require collateral, like a house or a car. You need to have a down payment most of the time. And if you do not repay that loan, the lender can actually legally take that collateral, right? So don't give mommy car for collateral so you could buy yours, because then mommy gonna lose her car if you're unable to pay. And of course, credit history matters. They check your credit history to decide if they'll lend to you. So if you allow people to use your card or allow people to take loans out in your name and they default, that's going to affect you negatively, right? And there's a period of time in which your credit will be horrible until it gets wiped off. So just some basic information. Of course, there are hidden costs in loans as well. So we need to redefine friends. We need to ask the loan officer, is there any additional cost included here? We need to read, right? We need to pay attention. Repaying on time is important because if you miss your loan payment and that installment is not paid, then there's extra fees and it would affect your credit score as well. And of course, think about how taking a loan will affect your future finances. Will you have enough money with this current payment that you're making for other important goals? Right? And that's why it's important to prioritize or expend. Right, so here we reach the really fun part. What are the tools that we can use to help us manage our money better? Right, so you might want to make a list of these. Now, some of us may have heard of the 52-week money challenge. Have you? If you have, let me know in the chat. Basically, you just use the 52 months of the year and you put a certain amount aside. And at the end of the year, boom, you're left with how much? $1,378, which is a lot of money, right? Compared to having nothing. So in week one, you deposit $1. In week two, you do $2. In week three, you do $3. And I did this and I doubled it up. So I ended up with like 2,700 or something, which was a good amount of money for something that I wasn't even feeling. Because I'm not really feeling putting aside that weekly. So if you could double it, triple it, do it with family, then you could actually save without even noticing. And of course, for those of us who are salaried, right, Liana, that's a great idea. Saving all your $5 bills. And then before you know it, boom, you actually have some money that you could do a little something with. Not a big something, but a little something. So you can also open a credit union account. If anybody here does not have a credit union account, the terms are very favorable for lending. You earn dividends for your shares held, which is more than you get them with the bank, right? So you can actually also set up a monthly standing order. That's a big tip. I share this with everybody. Set up a standing order as soon as you get paid to transfer something to your savings account. Yes, credit unions are sure life, right? And some forms of insurance actually include a savings element. And I can't tell you how many times I have insurance things that might have a little savings, not much. And then when I have some little emergency thing come up, I realize, wait, I remember I have the savings here. Boom, a little $2,000. It counts, it adds up, right? So speak to your insurance agent. Find out if you have a pension plan, if you have an annuity, whether there is a savings portion or something that you could add to. Because you're already paying out at the end of the month. You might as well have a little something in there that you could withdraw if you have an emergency need. Right? Steps to creating a budget. Now, we are at 9 o'clock and it's basically time to finish. So what I'm doing is just gonna give you a couple of tools that you can use to build your own budget, right? But basically, you want to calculate your income, and I think we all know these things. List all your expenses, categorize your expenses, right? Some are variable, some are fixed, and of course your savings. So that's the basics. You set your priorities. Decide what is important to you. and allocate your funds accordingly. Make sure you include savings as a priority, right? Not an afterthought, but a priority. And you want to track your spending. Use a notebook, use an app, use a spreadsheet, and adjust as necessary. At the end of the month, review your expenditure, review your budget, and see what changes you want to make in your following month, right? And of course, for your personal budget, I recommend that you start small, right? Track your spending for at least a week so you get an idea of how your money is spent, where it was. Some of you may have heard of putting envelope method. I think it's Dave Ramsey who came up with that. So basically, you withdraw your entire salary. You live out of an envelope for 1 month and you track whatever you spend. So travel, gas, food, you basically write it on the envelope. And at the end of that month or whatever period you do it, you have a record of everywhere but everything that you spent on. And it actually is a great way. I tried it. It's a great way to manage your expenditure, especially when your money disappears. It did not sprout wings, it did not fly away. You spent it, right? And of course, save first, which I shared already. Be realistic. Don't be too strict. Don't go so strict that you're gonna get defeated and frustrated. But make sure that is something doable, something that you know you can handle, and then you can always adjust as you go. Right? You need to review that budget. Review it regularly. Mistakes, so okay, fine. You went Payless had sale, you spend, you buy 4 pairs of shoes. Then next month learn from that, right? Don't carry a credit card when you go in Payless. next time just go to the mall, carry exactly how much money you need, and come right back. And of course, account for fun. Because yes, you're gonna go to the movies. Yes, you're gonna go out for ice cream, right? So make sure you even build something like that into your budget so you don't feel like you're cheating on your budget when you do something like that. It shouldn't be a restriction, but a guide. And of course, a regular budget template, expected, actual difference for all of your money coming in and your money going out. These are a couple trackers that I found. And this is called Money Manager and Expenses. Now, I'm an Android person, so I don't have iPhone solutions. Maybe I have alternatives to these apps. But these are some that I found with very good reviews that you can just keep your finances on the go. Money Manager and Expenses. You can categorize, get details of your transactions. There's Expend Less Money Manager. They do reports, so you can actually get a nice little donut chart showing you how you spent your money, right? There's no clearer way to manage your money than seeing it on a chart. You can scan your receipts into this app and plan your expenses, right? And it's free, guys. It is free. So by all means, please do consider trying it, check it out, get one of these apps and let it help you manage your money on the go. Right? And this is a business cash flow budget. We didn't get to businesses today. So we'll probably cover that another time. Basically, this is for managing your business, right? So we have come to the very end where I have a short challenge for you. We are all going to complete this challenge. It's very short, it's very fun. Let me just check the chat quickly. Pennywise, you need to listen to stick to it. Sure, right. I've gone to Pennywise so many times and said, I'm not spending more than this. Guess what? Oh, wow. I didn't know I needed this. That's where the budget comes in. So I hope you're all ready. We're going to do this challenge and then we're going to open up for some questions. So come on, mouse, don't fail me now. So your mission is to step into the shoes of a young working professional and navigate various financial decisions to learn about money management, right? Your objective is to make smart financial choices to balance your budget, save, invest, and handle unexpected expenses, right? You're willing to take this mission, and your character is you're a recent college graduate. You're working your first job. And looking at you earning more than minimum wage, right? You're making $4,500 a month after taxes, right? And because you went to a course and you learned money management before you start this job, you start saving and you start this period of your challenge with $6,000 in the bank, right? So I want you to grab a pen, grab a pencil, write down your starting salary, write down your starting savings. I want you to have two columns. So basically, we're going to live the life of a college graduate, and we're going to make decisions about what we are doing with our money, right? I'm going to give you 10 small scenarios, and you basically say whether you save, whether you spend, and we come down to the bottom and see how much money you're left with, right? So it's a real life budget challenge. So every decision has consequences, right? Remember that. So here we are, option 1. So you have the opportunity to take a course that enhances your professional skills. The cost is $1,500, right? Now remember, you started with your savings of $6,000. You started with your salary of $4,500. Now this is something, this cost, it could lead to a promotion. You could get a raise. Is this something you will accept or deny? And if you accept this course opportunity, will you pay $1,500 from your salary or from your savings? So you go ahead, you write it down. You started with $6,000 savings, $4,500 salary, and now you minus from whichever one, if you are taking the opportunity. Or you could choose to save your money and say, you know what, I'm going to read up something on Google. I'm going to do this course for free, and I'm spending no money, right? But remember, this could help your future earning potential. So think wisely, choose wisely, right? So we're moving on, option 2. You've been eyeing new wireless earbuds that cost $1,000. Hey, earbuds is life, when you go in that maxi or you're out in the street and you want to not hear what's going on, $1,000. So it's exciting, but before you make that expense, you already have one. You already have one. And it's important to consider how this purchase impacts your budget for the month. Will you spend that $1,000 for those earbuds? Will you spend it from your savings? Will you spend it from your salary, or will you not spend it at all? Right? That's your option. Moving on, option 3, sorry. You consider putting $500 into your emergency fund from your salary, right? So if you do this transaction, you minus $500 from salary and you add $500 to savings, right? In your two columns. And of course, the scenario is building an emergency fund will help you prepare for unexpected expenses like medical bills or car repairs, right? So we're moving along. You are going out for dinner to celebrate your best friend's birthday. Don't forget a birthday present. Cost $400. Now, the scenario is socializing is important, but it's essential to balance leisure activities with your financial goals. Can you afford to go for this dinner party with your best friend and buy them a present? $400. Is it coming out from savings? Is it coming out from salary? Is it not coming out at all? All right, the choice is yours. Moving along. A friend offers you a chance to invest $600 in their startup. Scenario, investing can be risky, but potentially rewarding. Consider the potential returns and your risk tolerance, right? We didn't talk much about risk, but obviously this is something that could turn out well, it could not. Are you going to take $600 out of your savings? Are you going to take $600 out of your salary? Is this a real good friend? Is this somebody you trust to make this money turn into a return? Or are you going to say, friend, next time, right? We're halfway there. Keep writing, keep clocking. Your car breaks down, option 6. And the repair cost $1,250. That car you're now going to buy, boom, right? It hits your repair cost $1,250. And of course, unexpected expenses could arise at any time. Do you have enough in your savings to cover it? If not, what will you do? $1,250. You could travel, right? It's your decision. We're going to do $1,250 need to be spent to get your car up and running again, right? I hope nobody's crying by now with all of these real life expenses, because we have 3 more to go. Option 7. You have a credit card balance of $5,000, more than your salary. Murder. The minimum payment is $75. If you don't pay the full balance, you will still be charged 2% monthly on whatever is remaining, whatever you don't pay, right? Are you going to make that $75 payment? Or are you not going to bother and say, well, I'll deal with it, I want to deal with it, right? Or are you going to pay out $5,000? I don't think you could afford it, right? Your savings and your savings and your spending at this point, you don't have $5,000 left for something so major. So decide, maybe you'll pay half, right? Maybe you'll pay some. Moving on. You could choose to pay none at all, but if you've decided that, then you have to expense $150, right? Because you're going to have to pay that plus the interest, which I didn't work out, but know that you're going to have an additional late fee plus interest. And a second to last option, you would like to be able to access YouTube and your social media accounts while on the road to work. Monthly data charges cost you $300. Will you accept this charge or will you deny it? Right? And our last one, so $300 for data. So you could talk to your friends, you could use WhatsApp, you could shop. Option 10, you recently got married and you are considering life insurance for $500 a month. We didn't talk about insurance, but in the event of your untimely departure, you would like your spouse, I guess you're not having children yet because you're not getting married, you would like your spouse to be taken care of. Will you pay that $500 per month out of your salary as a regular monthly expense, right? In the chance that you kick the bucket and your spouse is left without money. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I didn't really forget. But do you have enough money left over for your regular monthly expenses? Because we didn't talk about that yet, right? So bring it in. Utilities, $400 has to come out from your salary. Your transportation or gas, $300 minusing from your salary. Loan repayment, $800 because you had a loan when you buy that car. And groceries, $1,200. Murder, right? And that's, I mean, that could probably feed two people, right? But groceries, $1,200. And I mean, I guess we could include groceries and food because if you purchase food in there, $1,200 a month. And of course, rent. But you are saved because your rent expense of $1,200 is split, right? When you're getting somewhere for $1,200, let's be real. So if you did have to pay $1,200 in rent because your rent is $2,400, you get through. But that's an expense you have to pay $1,200 out of your salary, right? So we've reached the end of our scenarios. So now what I need you all to do is tally up and tell me what you have left in your savings and what you have left in your salary account, right? Some people, I hear, and it's already, some people are negative. Some people are negative, but I would love to know if you did it on a spreadsheet to get through. If you need to take a calculator real quick or just run through the numbers in your brain, let me know what your financial status is as a young professional. Get it? But Shireen, you don't have an overdraft facility. you can't go into overdraft. You gotta go and borrow some money. Right, but let me know. You still have savings or them savings gone? How that salary account looking? You started out with $4,500. How much money do you have? Are you wishing you didn't make some choices that you made along the way? Are there some things, them earbuds, you know, that birthday line? Are there some things that you're regretting right now that push you into negative, right? And to be honest, this is how life works, right? Unexpected things crop up all of the time. But having a guide, having a budget, knowing what we can and cannot afford to spend is going to help us, is going to prevent us from major money headaches, right? So just giving you all a few minutes while I talk to add up, minus, and see if you have anything left. See if you're going to negative. See if you had to go next door and get a loan, right? But what are you left with? Because at the end of the day, without proper money management, this is our situation, you know, and you don't want to be living like this every month. You want to have a part-time income. You want to have a salary. You want to have more than enough money to meet your needs and not have less money than the expense of your needs and be struggling every month. Because that is sadly the case of many, many people all around the world, not just in Trinidad. Right? Celicia's salary gone. At least you still have some savings. Congratulations on that 550. That means you said some no somewhere along the line. Right? But yeah, and that's somebody, this is a regular real life scenario. This is somebody in this world is doing this month. Right? So I don't want that somebody to be you. And that's why I've shared these budgeting tools. That's why I've shared the apps. And we've gone through all of this. Now, all of that to say, you sat through this class, you were here for an hour and change. And at the end of the day, you could leave, you can go to bed and get up and continue the same way you've been accustomed to managing money, or you can make a decision to change the way you manage money, right? And to actually be able to build the emergency fund, to find another job that you could actually afford to save, right? And not just be left with peas, right? Tanisha has $1,750 in savings and 200 in salaries. Congratulations. That was some hard decisions, right? You had to cancel some of those once. But basically, like I said, this is somebody's life. So I wanted to do this so you could actually get an idea of what you need to do to prevent this from being you, right? And there are budgets online, there's templates online, everything you need is available at your fingertips, right? With or without that data charge of $300. So I just have a couple of final words. Money does not grow on trees. We all wish it did. So live within your means. You do not have to get everything you want right now. Saving is important for unforeseen emergencies. And please practice being financially responsible. Yeah. Right. Celeste, are you there, my dear? That's basically it for me in terms of my final points. Please do let me know if you have any questions. If there's anything in your mind, something we didn't cover, something that you just really would like to find out about, then maybe we could quickly touch on it. You are very welcome, my dear. Right, is there anything that you'd like access to after the session? But as I said, all of these things are available online.